Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hello everyone, I hope this finds you well. I think I may have finally figured out my microphone audio problem. So I'm really hoping this video has much better sound quality. It turns out I had a software problem. So this next Go Show is another important one. I know I sound like a broken record. If you read on the history of Nichiren, you'll know that he was persecuted many different ways from many different camps, either from competitors or people that were motivated themselves, like a mob. A lot of times things coming through the politic of the day. Other sects would complain to their superiors, and those superiors would report to the government, the shogunate, and then whatever region and local authority would then prescribe some sequestering or banishment, things on that order. After an attempt on his life, a sanctioned political event to behead him, an auspicious event occurred and thwarted that from happening. He was soon after exiled to Sado Island, and that was delayed several months because of weather and other things. And then when he finally gets to Sado Island, which is a bleak little island, gets extremely cold in the winters, they basically set him up in an old broken down shack, and you know, where the board, you could see between the boards, there's no insulation, nothing like that. Very, very rudimentary shack, and that's where they put him to live. It was a couple of years before he was allowed back. So out there were short supplies. It wasn't like you could run down to the local store and buy paper, and people would visit, but not as frequently. It was hard to get there, let alone the situation geographically. Anyway, while there in complete solitude most of the time, Nichiren wrote a couple of major Gosho, major treatises. Which makes sense because he had much less, if any, contact with, very infrequently with students that would be able, financially even, let alone politically, to make the journey to go visit him. So a lot of the things that he wrote, even though there were some personal letters, were either instructional or guidance to his proxies on the mainland, the head monks of certain groups or temples, on his doctrines and clarifications of teachings, mostly on issues that they might be dealing with in that very day, because there was a lot of competition for political attention, support. It meant money, quite frankly. But Nichiren wasn't so much interested in the money as he was in correcting the path of Buddhist teachings. He refused to cave into political pressures or be swayed by other groups. He found himself more often than not correcting their errors. So, be that as it may, this Gosho is titled Letter from Sado. So it's kind of a general letter. It was written to a samurai of a powerful clan. Tokijonin is the samurai. And you may say in here, but he'll be talking about, well, his banishment and how to view that in terms of the Buddhist teachings. Always looking for teaching opportunities. This is Nichiren, right? So, I'll just read it as read. I think there's a little forward in here, so this will be a forward. I guess that's what I just did. Here we go. This letter is addressed to Toki, Oh no, this is Nichiren. It should also be shown to Saburo Simon, the lay priest Okurato no Tsuji Juro, the lay nun of Saijiki, and my other followers. Send me the names of those killed in the battles at Kyoto and Kamakura. Also, please have those who are coming here bring me the anthology of non-Buddhist texts, Volume 2 of the Words and Phrases of the Lotus Sutra, Volume 4 of the Profound Meaning of the Lotus Sutra, these are Tendai's writings, and the commentary on this volume, and the collected official opinion papers and collected imperial edicts. Sounds like he's going to study up for some remonstrations, some battles, some debates with these people that have been persecuting the Buddhist teachings and Nichiren's doctrine specifically. The most dreadful things in the world are the pain of fire, the flashing of swords, and the shadow of death. Even horses and cattle fear being killed. No wonder human beings are afraid of death. Even a leper clings to life. How much more so a healthy person? The Buddha teaches that even filling the entire major world system with 7 kinds of treasures does not match offering one's little finger to the Buddha and the Lotus Sutra. The boy Snow Mountains gave his own body, and the ascetic aspiration for the law peeled off his own skin in order to record the Buddha's teachings. Since nothing is more precious than life itself, one who dedicates one's life to Buddhist practice is certain to attain Buddhahood. If one is prepared to offer one's life, why should one begrudge any other treasure for the sake of Buddhism? On the other hand, if one is loath to part with one's wealth, how can one possibly offer one's life, which is far more valuable? Now, this is tricky because reading this in our day and age is along with a lot of groups who take, for instance, the Medicine King chapter and the story of the Medicine King literally. There are still groups today where you will hear of monks setting themselves on fire in the street. This is not what is meant. But, I mean, this is the nature of misunderstandings. They become so ingrained that people actually do the things that are talked about. To offer one's life is to dedicate yourself with so much resolve that no other distraction, human distraction, desire, sways you in the slightest bit away from your task to unify your life, your day-to-day perceptive mind from the Buddhist path, from melding with your Buddha nature, the clarity of all things. Do you understand? It's the nature of one's resolve. It's not, I'm focused on this now, and then when I'm doing something else, I'll focus on that. No. When you dedicate your life to the Buddhist practice, you don't allow anything to pull you away, to distract you from your Buddhist practice. That includes teaching others. That includes study. That includes gongyo and chanting and studying and talking to others about Buddhism. So it doesn't mean to literally rip your skin off and write the Gosho on it so that you can practice Buddhism. These are, what's the word? I'm guilty of it often. It's an overstatement to make a clear example, an analogy, if you will. Oh, I can't remember the word. That's so frustrating. Getting old, folks. The way of the world indicates that one should repay a great obligation to another, even at the cost of one's life. Again, this is the nature of deep, profound vows, right? Not just handshakes, but true commitment. Many warriors die for their lords. So in this case, yeah, people actually give their lives for an ideal, right? Perhaps many more than one would imagine. A man will die to defend his honor. A woman will die for a man. Fish want to survive. They deplore their pond's shallowness and dig holes in the bottom to hide in. Yet tricked by bait, they take the hook. See, they'll follow a distraction. Birds in a tree fear that they are too low and perch in the top branches, yet betwitched by bait, they too are caught in snares. Human beings are equally vulnerable. They give their lives for shallow worldly matters, but rarely for the Buddha's precious teachings. Small wonder they do not attain Buddhahood. Ouch. Yeah, we'll give our lives to go to war because we want to get oil out of another country, or because our religion's superior to their religion, and so on and so forth. But when it comes to our own dedication to enlightenment, well, you know, I'll do that in my spare time. Buddhism should be spread by the method of either shoju or shakabuku, depending on the age. These are analogous to the two worldly ways of the literary and the military. The great sages of old practiced the Buddhist teachings as befitted the times. The boy Snow Mountains, this is from a previous story, so you might want to do some digging into that, and Prince Sattva offered their bodies when urged that by doing so they would hear the teaching in return, and that giving one's life constitutes bodhisattva practice. But should one sacrifice one's life at a time when it is not required? In an age when there is no paper, one should use one's own skin. In an age when there are no writing brushes, one should use his own bones. In an age when people honor the observers of the precepts and the practitioners of the correct teaching, while they denounce those who break or ignore the precepts, one should strictly follow the precepts. In an age when Confucianism or Taoism is used to suppress Shakyamuni's teachings, one should risk one's life to remonstrate with the emperor, as did the Dharma teachers Daoan and Hui Yuan, and the Tripitaka master Fa Tao. In an age when people confuse Hinayana and Mahayana teachings, provisional and true teachings, or exoteric and esoteric doctrines, as though unable to distinguish gems from tiles and stones, or cow's milk from donkey's milk, one should strictly differentiate between them, following the example of the great teachers Tendai and Dengyo. It is the nature of beasts to threaten the weak and fear the strong. Our contemporary scholars of the various schools are just like them. They despise a wise man without power, but fear evil rulers. They are no more than fawning retainers. Only by defeating a powerful enemy can one prove one's real strength. When an evil ruler is consort with priests of erroneous teachings, tries to destroy the correct teaching, and do away with a man of wisdom, those with the heart of a lion king are sure to attain Buddhahood. Autobiographical, isn't it? He's talking about his own situation here. Like Nichiren, for example, I say this is not out of arrogance, but because I am deeply committed to the correct teaching. An arrogant person will always be overcome with fear when meeting a strong enemy, as was the haughty Ashura who shrank in size and hid himself in a lotus blossom in He-Free Lake when he was reproached by Chakra. Even a word or a phrase of the correct teaching will enable one to gain the way, if it suits the time and the capacity of the people. But though one studies 1,000 sutras and 10,000 treatises, one will not attain Buddhahood if these teachings are unsuitable for the time and the people's capacity. is quite prescient, given the latest emails and comments and videos that I've done. 26 years have passed since the Battle of Hoji, and fighting has already broke out twice, on the 11th and the 17th days of the second month of this year. Neither non-Buddhists nor the enemies of Buddhism can destroy the correct teaching of the thus come one, but the Buddha's disciples definitely can. So don't be swayed. As the sutra says, only worms born into the lion's body feed on the lion. A person of great fortune will never be ruined by enemies, but may be ruined by those who are close. The current battle is what the Medicine Master Sutra means by, quote, the calamity of revolt within one's own domain, end quote. The Benevolent King's Sutra states, quote, once the sages have departed, then the 7 disasters are certain to arise, end quote. The Golden Light Sutra states, quote, the 33 heavenly gods become furious because the king permits evil to run rampant and fails to subdue it, end quote. Although I, Nichiren, am not a sage, I am equal to one, for I uphold the Lotus Sutra exactly as it teaches. Another statement made by Nichiren that he is a bodhisattva of full knowledge of the Buddha way. Furthermore, since I have long understood the ways of the world, the prophecies I have made in this life have all come true. Therefore, you must never doubt that I have what I have told you concerning future existences. On the 12th day of the 9th month of last year, I was arrested. I called out in a loud voice, quote, I, Nichiren, am the pillar, sun, moon, mirror, and eyes of the ruling clan of Kanto. If the country abandons me, the 7 disasters will occur without fail, end quote. Did not this prophecy come true just 60 days and then 150 days later? And those battles were only the first signs. What lamenting there will be when the full effect appears. Ignorant people wonder why Nichiren is persecuted by the rulers if he's truly a wise man. Yet it is all just as I expected. King Ajatasattu tormented his father and mother, for which he was hailed by the 6 royal ministers. When Devadatta killed an arhat and caused the Buddha to bleed, Kokalika and others were delighted. Nichiren is father and mother to the ruling house and is like a Buddha or an arhat to this age. The sovereign and his subjects who rejoice at my exile are truly the most shameless and pitiable of all. Those slanderous priests who have been bewailing the exposure of their errors may be overjoyed for the moment, but eventually they will suffer no less than myself and my followers. Their joy is like Yasuhira's when he killed his younger brother in Kuro Hogan. The demon who will destroy the ruling clan has already entered the country. This is the meaning of the passage from the Lotus Sutra that reads, quote, evil demons will take possession of others, end quote. So, this is some pretty profound encouragement to his followers and his proxies on the mainland. Wants to keep them in strong spirit, keep their resolve. Don't view this exile to Sado Island as a defeat. It's actually proof that he is a strong, correct leader. And this is why people of the elite, it's like a class war, persecute him, want him out of the way. Shut up, don't point out our errors. We don't want to hear it. Right? The persecutions Nichiren has faced are the result of karma formed in previous lifetimes. He takes responsibility for this. The never disparaging chapter reads, when his offenses have been wiped out, indicating that Bodhisattva never disparaging was vilified and beaten by countless slanderers of the correct teachings because of his past karma. How much more true is this of Nichiren, who in this life was born poor and lowly to a Chandala family. In my heart, I cherish some resolution in the Lotus Sutra but my body, while outwardly human, is fundamentally that of an animal. It was conceived of the two fluids, one white and one red, of a father and mother who subsisted on fish and fowl. My spirit dwells in this body as the moon is reflected in a muddy water, or as gold is wrapped in a filthy bag. Since my heart believes in the Lotus Sutra, I do not fear even Brahma or Chakra, but my body is still that of an animal. With such disparity between my body and mind, no wonder the foolish despise me. Without doubt, when compared to my body, my mind shines like the moon or like gold. Who knows what slander I may have committed in the past? I may possess the heart of a monk's superior intent, or the spirit of Mahadeva. Perhaps I am descended from those who contemptuously persecuted Bodhisattva, never disparaging. Or am I among those who forgot the seeds of enlightenment sown in their own lives? I may even be related to the 5,000 arrogant people, or belong to the third group who failed to take resolute mind in the Lotus Sutra in the days of the Buddha, great universal wisdom excellence. It is impossible to fathom one's karma. Iron, when heated in the flames and pounded, becomes a fine sword. Worthies and sages are tested by abuse. My present exile is not because of any secular crime. It is solely so that I may expiate in this lifetime my past grave offenses and be freed in the next from the three evil paths. The Parinirvana Sutra states, quote, "Those who enter the monastic order, don clerical garments, and make a show of studying my teachings will exist in ages to come. Being lazy and remiss, they will slander the correct and equal sutras. You should be aware that all these people are followers of non-Buddhist doctrines of today. Those who read this passage should reflect deeply on their own practice. The Buddha is saying that those of our contemporary priests who wear clerical garments but are idle and negligent were disciples of the 6 non-Buddhist teachers in his day. The followers of Honen, who call themselves the Nembutsu school, not only turn people away from the Lotus Sutra, telling them to discard clothes, ignore, and abandon it, but also advocate chanting only the name of Amida Buddha, a Buddha described in the provisional teachings. The followers of Dainichi, known as the Zen school, claim that the Buddha's true teachings have been transmitted apart from the sutras. They ridicule the Lotus Sutra as nothing more than a finger pointing at the moon, or a meaningless string of words. Those priests must both have been followers of the 6 non-Buddhist teachers who only now have entered the stream of Buddhism. It's a lot to take in. According to the Nirvana Sutra, the Buddha emitted a radiant light that illuminated the hells underground and revealed that not only a single offender remained there. This was because they had all achieved Buddhahood through the lifespan chapter of the Lotus Sutra. What a pity, however, that the Ichantikas, or persons of incorrigible disbelief, who had slandered the correct teachings, were found to have been detained there by the wardens of hell. They proliferated until they became the people of Japan today. Ouch. You think he's a little pissed off? But he's identifying a spiritual reason, a motivational reason, something that is cultural and deeply sewn into these sects and societies that have been handed down over generations, right? Since Nichiren himself committed slander in the past, he became a Nembutsu priest in this lifetime, and for several years he also laughed at those who practiced the Lotus Sutra. That's not actual again. I'm going to say it again, these are mental exercises, right? Stating that, quote, not a single person has ever attained Buddhahood through that sutra, or that not even one person in 1,000 can be saved by it. So in a way, he's setting himself up as an apology for his followers who may have had doubts, may have been swayed, may have thought for a moment, well, Shonen sounds reasonable when he says that. Maybe he has got a point there. We get distracted easily. So Nichiren is owning this for his disciples. He's saying, look, even I have done this. My mind has wandered. And he's saying, awakening from my intoxicated state of slander, I felt like a drunken son who, on becoming sober, laments at having delighted in striking his parents. He regrets it bitterly, but to no avail. His offense is extremely difficult to erase. Even more so are the past slanders. See, now he's moved away from the first person to the third person. This is why I say this is a mental exercise. And it's an apology for his students. Look, I know this happens. Even me, even I've done it. But right away, he's in the third person. His offense is extremely difficult to erase. Even more so are the past slanders of the correct teaching that stain the depths of one's heart. A sutra states that both the crow's blackness and the heron's whiteness are equally the deep stains of past karma. The non-Buddhists failed to recognize this and claimed it was the work of nature. Today, when I expose people's slanders in an effort to save them, they deny it with every excuse possible and argue back with Honin's words about barring the gates to the Lotus Sutra. From Nembutsu believers, this is hardly surprising. But even priests of the Tendai and True Word schools actively support them. On the 16th and 17th days of the first month of this year, hundreds of priests and lay believers from the Nembutsu and other schools who were in the province of Sado came to debate with me. A leader of the Nembutsu school, Inshobo, said, quote, "The Honorable Honen did not instruct us to abandon the Lotus Sutra. He simply wrote that all people should chant the Nembutsu, and that its great blessings assure their rebirth in the Pure Land. Even the priests of Mount Hiei and Onjoji Temple, who have been exiled to this island, praise him, saying how excellent his teaching is. How dare you try to refute it?" The local priests are even more ignorant than the Nembutsu priests in Kamakura. They are absolutely pitiful. How terrible are the slanders Nichiren has committed in the past and present existences. Since you have been born into this evil country and become the disciples of such a man, there is no telling what will happen to you. The Parinirvana Sutra states, quote, "Good men, because people committed countless offenses and accumulated much evil karma in the past, they must expect to suffer difficulty for everything they've done. They may be despised, cursed, with an ugly appearance, be poorly clad and poorly fed, seek wealth in vain, be born to an impoverished and lowly family, or one with erroneous views, or be persecuted by their sovereign." It continues, quote, "They may be subjected to various other sufferings and difficulties. It is due to the blessings obtained by protecting the law that they can diminish in this lifetime their suffering and difficulty." End quote. Were it not for Nichiren, these passages from the sutra would virtually make the Buddha a liar. The sutra says first, quote, "They may be despised." Second, "They may be cursed with an ugly appearance." Third, "They may be poorly clad." Fourth, "They may be poorly fed." Fifth, "They may seek wealth in vain." Sixth, "They may be born to an impoverished and lowly family." Seventh, "They may be born to a family with erroneous views." And eighth, "They may be persecuted by their sovereign." These 8 phrases apply only to me, Nichiren. So he's taken a really visceral reading of the teachings to demonstrate to his followers, look, my exile to Sado isn't some mere happenstance. It's significant. It's auspicious. It's actual proof that the writings of the sutras are correct. So it's kind of a backwards way to inspire, isn't it? It's an interesting tactic. Nichiren uses many different tactics in his teachings. One who climbs a high mountain must eventually descend. One who slights another will in turn be despised. One who depreciates those of handsome appearance will be born ugly. One who robs another of food and clothing is sure to fall into the world of hungry spirits. One who mocks the person who observes the precepts and is worthy of respect will be born into an impoverished and lowly family. One who slanders a family that embraces the correct teaching will be born into a family that holds erroneous views. One who laughs at those who cherish the precepts with resolute mind will be born a commoner and meet with persecutions from one's sovereign. This is the general law of cause and effect. Now I'm going to stop there because my mouth is getting dry. I haven't interrupted a whole lot, although you may disagree, because well, we've talked about all of this stuff before, but I think the main thing I want you to understand is Nichiren's predicament at this point. He's become very popular. He's remonstrated with the government. He's made a lot of noise. He's not only popular in a positive way, but he's so well known now that anyone who disagrees with him wants to, it's like popular to disagree with him because they make names for themselves. So this is a critical point for Nichiren. It's a critical point not only for him as a votary of the Lotus Sutra, but as a votary of the Lotus Sutra, he's responsible for all of those that he's teaching. And so he has to make sure that that community, that his Sangha, remains vibrant and alive and feels good about their practice. Because even if he can survive this exile to Sado and deepen his conviction in Buddhism, it's not enough. In the Lotus, we find that to reach complete fulfillment, full enlightenment, not just provisional awakening, but full, complete enlightenment, one has to assist others to achieve that goal, or on their path at least to achieve that goal. So if he loses his followers, he loses his enlightenment. So this is of critical importance to him. He has to show them how his life is a very examples of the way things balance out in the universe, in life, in all life. You can get away with a lot of it. And you know, it's kind of simplistic in that he's saying if you do this, then you get that. If you do this, you get that. He's not making predictions. He's saying that there are responses to actions. And they take form in your own life. And who knows how they'll express, but they will express. So he's just giving these easy examples, but he's not trying to say that if you do this, this will happen. It's just, again, a mental exercise to get you to illustrate the point. Stay the course. Stick with it. What's happening to me is proof that what we're doing is correct. Don't be dissuaded. Don't lose inspiration and resolve. Stay the course. So, this is Nichiren to the core, and in his lifetime, he had to do this a lot. It was a very tumultuous time, as I've said before. So, plenty to chew on. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, chant. Let me know if this video has better sounding audio. Back to earth here. And comment, comment on what I've said, what we're talking about, if you have questions. Or if in any way it induces you to go to Gohonzon and chant, just for clarity. That's the best way for you to get clarity, is to take these videos, these teachings, these things that you read and learn, and take them directly to Gohonzon and chant for clarity. And it will come. You'll see. Thanks so much for participating. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. I can't wait to do another one and see you there. Take care.